You're welcome.
All right, good evening, everybody. We're gonna call this meeting to order at 7:02. Can I get a roll call, please?
Jack Sapia.
Hello.
Don Woodward.
Here.
Andy Newton.
Here.
Mark Sherwood.
Here.
Sean O'Mansell.
Here.
Lee Woodward.
Yes.
Vincent Wilson.
Here.
Marianne Springer. Here. And Paul McCain.
He's excused. Yep. All right, if everyone can stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the public meeting minutes first for September the 18th.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the September 18th, 2025 meeting.
I have a motion by Shauna. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Marianne. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstain. 8-0. And then we do have some non-public meeting minutes.
Make a motion to accept the non-public of September 18th.
Got a motion by Jack. Do I have a second? Don seconded. Any other discussion on these minutes? All right, all
I
those.
just have a name correction that I'll let Linda know. I need a couple minutes to finish reading.
Oh, okay.
Tonight.
Sorry, I didn't think I was gonna get a second on that.
Reading speed and comprehension are different things.
Alright.
Deeper.
Okay. So you get the credit.
Well, no, I don't really want it.
Anybody else need a couple more minutes to read? Okay, so there's been a motion by Jack and a second by Dawn. Any other discussions? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained. 8-0. All right, pass those back, please.
That's all we have, right? So.
Thank you. And I believe we have some student, staff, and family share.
We do. I'd be happy to make the introduction.
Absolutely.
Principal Vaccarez is here from the high school, as well as two students. We have Luke and we have Alicia. Yes.
Eiley.
Say that again.
Eiley?
Eiley.
Yes.
Okay. Luke and Eiley. I did not write down anything that remotely resembles that spelling.
No worries.
Well, we thank you both for being here. And we have two teachers from the high school as well, Matt and Lisa. As the board remembers, we had a change in legislation over the summertime with regards to cell phones in public schools. We quickly moved, we got a policy, and these four individuals, including Mr. Vaccarez as the fifth one there, have been living with a kind of a bell-to-bell cell phone ban in the high school. And we wanted to invite them here tonight to kind of talk about what that experience has been at the high school over the last month. So come on up. There's 4 spaces for you. Let's get students and staff together. And students, what we should do is let's start with you and your voices and give us kind of maybe a little bit about how it's gone and maybe what you were thinking about the first time that you heard of the change coming.
All right. So we're here on behalf of students at Timberlane High School just to kind of give a student perspective on the new phone ban. We've noticed that the most obvious difference is there's an increase in socialization between students. There's ways to be social even on the phones as well though, like through like social media and like text messages and whatnot, but it is good to like talk in person finally.
Yeah, absolutely. Like during free time, during classes where in the past we all would have just gone on our phones, I've definitely noticed more interaction, which has been definitely very appreciable. I've definitely liked that a lot.
One thing is though that when we're distracted talking to each other, it's a little more disruptive in classrooms than just being kind of silently on phones. We do also notice that people are checking their emails more frequently, so it's easier to get in touch with staff members and admin, or it's easier for the staff and admin to get in touch with us, when before I think we'd probably go days without checking our email. Second and fourth block, the staff members are supposed to kind of give us a couple minutes to email check, but it hasn't really been enforced, and I don't really blame them because who wants to kind of like give up class time and interrupt their lessons, be like, oh guys, like check your emails, okay? And yes, we can email our parents to get in contact with them, but most of the time when they email us back, it either goes to spam or junk, so we don't ever see it unless we're actually looking for it.
Yeah, and also one thing that's been a little bit like iffy, and I've noticed that people have kind of like they're against, is that if you're emailing your parents about something and you can't text them, everything they're emailing can be seen by the school. So there's not much privacy between yourself and your parents or guardians. So that's definitely something I've seen other students be kind of iffy about.
The emails aren't looked through by the school, but they're accessible by the school. Any like inappropriate language or words will be flagged by the system, or so we've heard or been warned. So you do have to be like very cautious. Like I had a personal incident last week during Spirit Week where I needed my mom to bring something to the school, but like I was trying to email her and it was difficult to like try to not get flagged by the system and somehow still get the message across. It definitely was a little bit of an increased difficulty getting in contact with her, and then she's a very busy woman and she gets thousands of emails a day, and I don't know if they're going to spam or mine's gonna get lost. It was a little nerve-wracking, but she did get everything to me accordingly. We also use emails to know if like a bus time was changed for athletes or a practice time or a game time. But once a student has left school, like some students have first off or some students have like third and fourth off and they're allowed to go home, they're not likely to still check their email when they get home. They're most likely just using their phone. They're not going to go back to check their email. And some students have not noticed practice time changes or bus time changes. Like I know there was an incident this week where a student was left at the school, not intentionally, they just didn't see their bus time change for a game and they had to drive there themselves, which is fine, but it could have been avoided if communication was extended to the phones as well.
Another thing that we've noticed is, so we know how we have to put our phones in the lockers at the beginning of the day. We're not supposed to access them at all, and have them not really be able to be accessed. That's not something that's seen often with the students. Everyone, for the most part, either keeps them in their backpacks or some keep them on themselves. So that's definitely something that we've noticed. And I understand why, because it definitely does not feel safe keeping your phone away from you and not being able to access or communicate with a parent in a time of emergency. One thing that we've been talking about and that we feel like is an issue is, so if say there was an emergency, how if we needed to access like the authorities or something, we need to go on the phone in the classroom and call. But if there's an emergency where we need to get out of the building quickly, that's not really an option. You can't really stay behind in the room, wait for them to pick up, be locked to that part of the classroom before being able to escape or use any other things.
If we have to hide or anything as well. And even if we are able to get in contact with a parent via the phone in the classroom, they are most likely going to want updates as soon as possible, and that would be pretty difficult, and I can imagine that the phone in the classroom would get pretty crowded with students trying to contact home, and they would have to phone call, and if we have to be quiet, texting would be a lot safer of an alternative to stay quiet in a situation like that.
It's good information for the state legislation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. With the budget cut, phones can be used as a tool instead of having to like buy extended resources without them.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that we've noticed in like the music department. Before this legislation was passed, we would use our phones as tuners and like say in the orchestra, but we've since had to purchase many new tuners, which is a bigger issue since we've had the budget cut and there's less money going towards the music department, having to spend that the less money and putting it towards stuff that we already had a solution to. is definitely very frustrating.
There are also other just like small ways you could use them, like instead of buying a $100 to $150 graphing calculator, there's apps on your phone, there's apps on like iPads and MacBooks that utilize when a teacher is like writing down notes on the whiteboard and you might not finish. It was very easy to just take out your phone and take a quick picture so you could go back and write down the notes later. During experiments, we were in a class our freshman year where we would go outside and we'd take observations outside in the woods in like the cross country trail. And part of that was taking pictures of the process and going back and analyzing them. And I can imagine that it is probably increasingly difficult for those students to be able to do that now in that class. I'm also president of Best Buddies, which is an organization where we work with students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And during my free periods where I'm at the school, I'm often trying to brainstorm, come up with bulletin board ideas, and figure out fun ways we can get them involved. And oftentimes a really good resource for that is Pinterest or TikTok or Instagram. It sounds silly, but it's actually a really good way to get inspiration for things. But those are not accessible at school without phones, and they're blocked on computers. Even if we could unblock something like Pinterest, I feel like that would be very useful, especially like with other organizations like Project Hope or even Life of an Owl.
Absolutely.
We all also communicate with like through these organizations through text message or another application on our phones, and it's a lot harder to communicate on email or on Google Classroom because we don't get notifications on our Chromebook screens. We don't get notifications for an email. We have to think to check our email. We don't get notifications for a Google Classroom update like we would on our cell phones or our iPads or MacBooks. And it's difficult to know what's kind of going on, when you need to be somewhere, or what we're doing. Yeah, I can probably. So lots of students and parents have put their hard-earned money into purchasing a MacBook or an alternate computer or an iPad, and they proved to be very useful for students. I loved using my iPad last year, like best Christmas gift I've ever got, but I would not have asked my mom to spend the money on it if I knew that this ban was going to happen, but obviously none of us could have known that. It's very, very useful. I use it for my notes. I use it to keep track of all my events in my calendar app, and it sends a notification right to my phone and right to my iPad. Like I can set it for a couple days before, a couple hours before, a couple minutes before even. And it's very useful because we're both very busy students. So it's helpful when we have, hey, you have this meeting after school today. Hey, you have this tomorrow morning at 6:45. And also I use it to keep track of my homework assignments, and it also gives me reminders like you have this due tomorrow, you have this test in 2 days for this class. And it's very difficult to keep organized when we have to maybe write it down. We don't get a reminder. Like it's kind of increasing anxiety in a way because we were talking about this in great detail today, how like we spend all day in class like I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like I have a meeting after school today, like, but we can't put our finger on it. And it's very time consuming to go back in every single Google Classroom to figure out what club is it. I feel like I have a meeting. I don't know what club it's for. Like when we could just have a notification sent right to our phone.
Yeah, that is one of, I'd say, my biggest issues with this. As someone who struggles a lot with their memory, I lose a lot of stuff in my brain. And it was very easy just to take out my phone, put a quick note, put it in my calendar so I get a reminder like 15 minutes before the end of the day that I have to do this or something like that. And where I don't have that same process, it is very frustrating, and I've already forgotten a lot of things that I needed to do. And I'm going to try to work on finding another solution for that, but that was a very easy and accessible solution.
Or even a quick text message to a friend like, hey, do we have this meeting today? Hey, do we have this tomorrow morning? Like, is there a specific thing I'm supposed to wear for this event? It's definitely harder to remember. When we do email, because we can email our friends at school, but it's less time efficient to open the email, search up their name. Like, it's just slightly more time consuming to send them an email and then we're waiting for it to send and then remembering, I have to check back at my email because it doesn't give a notification and you don't know if they've said anything or not. And especially with my younger sister, she's absolutely awful at checking her email. I love her to death, but like, hey, I can't bring you home from school today. Like, you kind of need to find a ride, and like, doesn't know. Like, it's a lot more difficult for a student to try to access a ride through other people. Like if I have a meeting or I have practice or a bus time change, it's a lot more difficult to inform her and for her to reach out to other people to see if anyone else can bring her home or even reach out to her mom, because I don't even know if she knows she can email her mom through the email.
Hey, before we hear from Matt and Lisa about the adult experiences, about working in a time with cell phones and then without them, can we ask you guys for your quick input about have you seen any change in the adults in the building?
One thing that I've noticed is that teachers, a lot of them, I can think of probably 3 off the top of my head who I still see using their personal devices pretty often. And it is a little frustrating knowing that if we were to do the same, we would be like flagged for that and we would have consequences. And seeing teachers openly doing the same thing can be very frustrating.
I do think that there should be regulations, like in extenuous circumstances on like teachers that may need to use their phone for personal reasons or students that may need to use their phone for personal reasons. I know that there are some of those. But some students are allowed to use their phones. Like I know diabetic students are allowed to use their phones, which is definitely a good thing. I also noticed
Is that
that
extenuating circumstance of the
Well, I am an extenuating circumstance.
That you are. Sorry, continue.
It's right. A lot of teachers, I also realize, don't really notice that they're using their phones. I've noticed that with students as well. Sometimes, like sitting at lunch and like a student may have their phone on like their person and they like take it out to check a grade, and we're all like, "Hey," and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it hasn't really set in yet, so a lot of people don't remember that it's enforced. And I noticed that a lot with teachers as well, like, oh crap, like I'm on my phone. Like they don't notice it either as much. But we also notice that once we get home and we have access to our phones again, it's a lot harder to get off of them. Like we can't, we're glued. It's harder to get work done at home as well, like once we have access to the phones.
Matt and Lisa, what are your worlds like over there right now?
So I will say we were told at the beginning of the year to, follow suit with the students and keep our phones, out of sight just as much. I am one of those teachers that has a diabetic son at Atkinson Academy, and so I have you, Eiley. I said on the first day, I'm like, listen, I'll let you guys know. Periodically I do have to check my phone, or my husband gets the boys ready in the morning, and if we're trying to make a game time diabetes decision, but I try to be as transparent about that as possible, that is why I periodically check my phone. But I totally understand you guys are struggling with a lot of things right now, but I do think there's that transition period where you guys are used to the way things are with notifications and stuff. I graduated from Timberlane, and it was before texting was a thing on cell phones, so I had to use an agenda book and
Mr. Sapien.
to remind myself of different things. But I think you guys will get there. I think it'll just be a little bit of a tough transition because you guys have been able to use your phones through most of high school. But we also have noticed one of the things we were just talking about tonight is that because there is no cell phone usage ideally, not only have I noticed the students are more engaged in the lesson and engaged with us, but you guys are engaged with each other, which is a huge thing because post COVID, when COVID happened, you guys were kind of alone in your rooms. Like we got black muted screens for a lot of the time we were teaching, and then coming back, it was like hard to get back into kids really face to face, having conversations, and I've seen a lot more of that, which is really good.
And for me, I've just definitely noticed an increasement even in student engagement, especially at the CCP level, whereas like the accelerated kids usually had a good sense of like a little bit of more self-control over when it was appropriate for them to have their cell phones out and when they need to be focusing. The CCPs largely didn't have that. It wasn't uncommon in my years teaching here that when I would give a similar test to my CCP and ACC chemistry classes, I saw like a 40% grade difference in their averages. And this year, just giving their first test out, my CCPs are up like 20% on their average just compared to last year, just due to the fact that I'm not teaching what I would joke with them as like I'm acting out an episode of Dora the Explorer. I would ask a question. it would be crickets for 5 seconds. And then, right, the answer is this, moving on because no one's listening to me. A lot of that's gone, and there's a lot more just engagement with the class, with each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I wasn't averse to phones. I used it as a tool in my class in a lot of ways. I would have them digitally turn in their homework, taking photos, and I've had to find workarounds for that of like, oh, now I have to set up like a document camera station so that they can scan in their work and put it into Classroom for my turn-ins. And I understand the frustration of just reflexively wanting to look at it, because I would use it to track the time and like to not rub into the kids' faces of like, oh wait, I was just reaching for my phone to check the time, and I don't want to like be like, oh yeah, I'm looking at it because it's not illegal for me to do so, but trying to follow all the rules we ask you to follow as best we can.
But I was impressed with you guys during Spirit Week coming in with digital cameras. I don't know if you borrowed them from your parents or
I
not,
bought one
but
just
you know,
for that.
yeah, instead of using your phones. But also, I was where I have a diabetic son. I know, you know, he's in first grade, so no one's going to question him having a phone because first graders don't generally have phones. But I was nervous for my diabetic students at the high school that, you know, because when we start the school year, we get tons of IEPs, 504s, medical plans, and you do your best to make sure you know it all. But when you haven't seen students face to face, it's hard, you know, to take that IEP and like automatically know which student is which. And I was nervous for any of the students that need it for medical reasons, but specifically the diabetics, because it hits home, that, you know, teachers wouldn't have access to that list, you know, day one. And if those students took their phones out, that, you know, it's already a somewhat socially isolating condition. And then to have to, in front of the class, explain like, no, I can have it out. I was worried for them. But right on Power School, right where you take attendance, there's a big phone icon that shows which kids can. So right as you're taking attendance and they're like, here, you can look at it, see their face, know right away. And to me, it cuts that any type of conflict or, you know, singling those kids out, which I was really, as a parent and as a teacher, I was really happy about. So.
One last thing I do want to point out or say is that more than a few times in my career, with the constant connection, which has value in being there, I've also had plenty of times where I've had students that are emotionally crippled by the fact that they had that constant communication piece. I've had students in the past that have like literally asked me to lock their phone away from them because like they can't function knowing that people are talking about them on social media. And that's not something that
there's no fear
I'm
of missing
seeing.
out now
Yeah.
because nobody can use them. Am I right? There's like not that piece of like I'm missing something because
Definitely.
Which is nice because again, it just adds to that engagement piece for you guys. So.
Mark and then Jack.
Fast question for you, and I'll ask, this is for the students. Answer this as honestly as you're comfortable. Thinking of your phone usage last year in school, what percentage of it was for social?
It genuinely depended on the day, the week.
So
class I was
your
in.
average week, the average day that you use it, what percentage of your phone time in school was for social, catching up with friends, video, what have you?
I'd say personally probably close to 80%.
Me too, because I feel like I wasn't really on it unless it was for that, because the tools I would use are mostly on my iPad. So when I did pull out my phone, it was more for a social use. It was more about the iPad that I used the tools on.
Awesome.
Jack.
So, you guys are probably gonna hate me after this, but I was one of the board members that really supported the ban on cell phones. I spent a year in the high school, and I'd have 6, 7 kids in the class playing games with each other, the same game, you know how that goes, right, gaming. For 250 years, all the kids made it through school without cell phones. I was the guy who said Apple stock computers were a fad, so I didn't hit that one didn't nail that one. You're very bright and very intelligent kids, students. But what I heard tonight kind of confirms, I'll give you a piece of advice. Not having that tool, it forces you to count on yourself to be creative. It forces you to be responsible and get your scheduling. All these things, you can't rely on that tool because someday that tool may not be there for a whole host of different reasons. That's really bright, really smart. be responsible to schedule yourself, and if you miss something, that's a lesson learned. Not having a tool do it for you. I heard about Pinterest and all that. I bet you guys are really creative, right? Count on yourself, because it's gonna make you better. And then when you're out of high school and in college, great. But what I saw in the schools were, kids walking into lockers because they were walking with their head down, or, the kids that were trying to pay attention were being disrupted by other students on their phones and playing games. School is a place you come to learn, to have a little bit of fun, but to work, right? To learn. And count on yourselves, really. Don't count on those tools that just honestly get in the way and probably prohibit you a little bit from getting ahead. And as far as security goes, you've got a whole bunch of really reliable people that you're surrounded by, and count on each other, right? So thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Agree.
Thank you very much.
I just had a quick question for everyone. How do you think this has affected cyberbullying?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, for me, the thing I kind of ended with is I think it has significantly reduced it, at least during the school day. Because like I said, I'm not seeing the kids that can't come to school because their phones are constantly buzzing them with negative messages. So for me, I think during the school day that has gotten a lot better. I think it's probably still rampant at night, but at least while they're in the building, it becomes a little bit more of a safe space from it.
Yeah,
I definitely agree
I
with that.
agree with that. Absolutely.
I wasn't really exposed to cyberbullying when we did have the phones, but I do know of a lot of students that were cyberbullied. But I am also not exposed to it now, so I'm not sure quite what the difference is, but it does definitely still happen at home outside of school, but definitely not as much in school.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, the world kind of got turned upside down with a switch.
It's all right.
Alright. Delegates individuals, I have Michael Brashear. Hello.
Hello. So I am here this evening, to ask the school board and the district administration to renew the conversation around fully funded full-day kindergarten. It is obviously a subject that's very important, not only for the whole district community, but it's also just important for the kids as well. I think upon evaluating the results of Article 3, which was related to possibly having fully funded full-day kindergarten before it got amended, I think that the voters may not understood the intent of that article just based on the results. It was just so overwhelmingly yes that I think that people didn't understand what the current law was, and I think they wanted kindergarten. And I think they did that because they understand the need within the community. I was looking at the enrollment numbers from earlier this year in August, and I compared it to the enrollment numbers from the year before that around the same time, and there definitely is a clear increase in terms of enrollment. So the demand is definitely there. There's definitely a community need, and I really feel that the school administration really needs to step up and meet that need. I think there's different ways to implement it, and obviously there's definitely been discussion about it when the committee existed last year. I think it's time that maybe the district could do something very transparent, which is included as part of the budget if they would like, or maybe consider just waiving tuition, or the school board could direct the superintendent to waive tuition. Those are just ideas. You could also revisit looking at the warrant article that was put on the ballot and maybe see if we can try to put the original warrant article, if that was truly the intent of the voters to have fully funded full-day kindergarten. And I don't know if this was discussed during the presentations for fully funded full-day kindergarten last year, but there's this RSA 198, section 48-C. If I understand it correctly, it implies that school districts can get an additional $1,100 per full day pupil in addition to adequacy aid. Like I said, I don't know if this was discussed during the presentation, but if it wasn't, maybe it's something worth looking into, because that is definitely funding that could be used to help bring this situation forward. I also noticed that there were other school districts who've been trying to make this happen. Bedford just recently passed it this year. I believe they're a similar sized school district, maybe a little bit smaller. And they noticed in their school district that they were able to implement it for about $367,000, which is pretty close to, I believe it was the $301,000 here within the district. And they're,
I'm gonna give you,
Sorry.
since you're the only one, I'm gonna give you one more minute.
all right, appreciate it. So they noticed they had similar resources and they already had existing classrooms just like within our district to make it possible. And by implementing it with that cost, they found it was about 6 cents per every $1,000. So for example, for a house assessed for $700,000, that was about $42 per year on their taxes. So I really feel that calculation could be brought forward, and so the voters within the Timberlane district would understand that and understand that the cost is very low, but the gains are so much greater that it's worthwhile, and it's definitely something that we need to get done. And I just hope that we're not the last district to be able to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more delegates and individuals on? Could I get the 26 minutes remaining of delegates and individuals moved to the end of the meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Shauna, do I have a second?
Yep.
Seconded by Alyssa. Speech. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstained, 800. All right, student rep, welcome back.
Yes, I was not here last week because I'm in the house band for the Milkmen, which is our school's improv team that raises money for different organizations. Yeah, great group. So first we have the high school, which had its Spirit Week carnival, or its Spirit Week in its entirety. As you can see, there are a few photos from our pep rally, as well as one of the days, which was Camouflage Day. We had a carnival Wednesday night of that week that was all different organizations had tables that they could sell different things to raise money for those organizations. There was a dodgeball game and other activities that people could do there just to bring everyone together after hours. Seniors got to paint their parking spots a small square if they would like to, and they're all around the campus, so if you have a chance, I would stop by. There are a ton of really good ones. Mine's okay, but yeah. PSATs are going to be going on for juniors soon. The high school has been doing many emergency drills, fire and ALICE drills. And parent-teacher conferences are coming up on October 9th. For sports, Project Hope's fall season play for the Play for a Cure games are coming up. And we'll be celebrating this program at the following athletic events. Girls volleyball, September 29th. September 30th was boys soccer. October 1st was field hockey. October 2nd was girls soccer. And a ceremony took place prior to the start of the varsity football game last week. For the Performing Arts Center, for the Performing Arts Center, they have a Milkman show coming up in 2 weeks from now, as I just said. The school play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, rehearsals have been going really well. And Jazz All-State auditions are going to be happening soon for those students in jazz band who choose to take it and choir who choose to take it. The middle school has My Best Friend's Closet, our free thrift store for students. It's open all year round during advisory. The students, the store is stocked with a help of gentle used goods and donated items from the community. For Pollard, which isn't on here, students have been building place value cities, creating recycled projects, and getting ready for Kid Governor here at Pollard. It's a very busy time to be a penguin. Sandown Central, students have been enjoying the rollout of some of the new playground equipment. The cooperation and problem-solving abilities of our youngest learners is amazing. And finally, we have Sandown North, which just had their first all-school meeting this past week. They're looking forward to having these meetings each month. It really brings the entire school community together, and they got to sing patriotic songs that they learned in music class, as well as some pragmatic things. They also got to show a new video with bus expectations. That's all I have.
Lots going on. All right, for current business, we have some alternative education highlights. I believe, who we got with us
We
today?
have Mrs. Daniel Foley, who is here with us tonight.
Come on down.
Let's all sit together.
Hi, Miss Foley.
Hi, everyone. They're so cute. Those little babies.
You're used to the big ones.
The students we serve at the high school, but no less little. Take a seat. Okay, so, thank you, Dean. As you know, I am the assistant principal of alternative educational pathways at Timberlane Regional High School. Last year, I came to a few of these meetings to provide highlights for alternative education, and this year is no different, except for the fact that I will speak less this year. So I have 3 students who represent the 3 major programs that we have at the high school. So we have Peyton here, she represents evening division, and we have Jake at the end over there, he is our representative of the high set prep program. And then in the middle here is Taylor, and she represents another ELO opportunity, so extended learning opportunities. And we are going to start with Peyton, and she will tell you a bit about what kind of alternative education option she is pursuing and why.
Hi. So I am in half day school, half night school. My first 2 years in high school was pretty challenging for me. Full day school is very overwhelming for me. There's a lot of kids, a lot of distractions. My sophomore year, beginning of my sophomore year, I found out I was not going to graduate on time. I had 2.5 credits. That year I was enrolled in evening division, and I have made it to a point where I can graduate early, a full year early. I've gotten the credits that I need. I'm taking 21 classes this whole year. And in night school, there is a lot more one-on-one time with teachers. I can get more support, very much less distractions, very less like kids in the classes. And then on top of that, I'm hoping to start college in the fall after I graduate, take the 2-year program to become a vet tech.
Good for you.
That's awesome. Very good.
She has so many dogs and cats. I'm so excited for you to be a vet tech. I'm so excited. We're looking at different, what was it, Great Bay community that has a vet tech program? Yep. So went from 2.5 credits to now hopefully earning enough credits by the end of this year to be able to graduate a full year early so she can start her career.
Very good. Very good. That's awesome.
So now next up will be Jake. He's going to just speak about HiSET Prep. So for those of you who don't know, HiSET stands for High School Equivalency Test, and the HiSET Prep program at Timberlane prepares students to take the 5 subtests that they need to take in order to earn their high school equivalency certificate as opposed to a high school diploma. Take it away, Jake.
So when I was in full day school, I never went to any of my classes, because school just wasn't for me. I never was able to learn because there was so much going on at once. So when I turned 16, I went into the high set, and it's a lot more calm. I can have one-on-ones with the teacher if needed, and I can just learn at my own pace, and it'll allow me to graduate, or not graduate, but get my equivalency. And during the day, I can work full-time.
Save that money.
Good for you as well.
So his plan, what's your plan for when you earn your certificate?
Join the union and then go into electrician.
Very good. Very nice.
So like many of our high set students, Jake is a hands-on learner. And he did not have, I feel like I can say this because your freshman or sophomore year, you were with me quite a bit, because he did not have the patience to sit in the classroom for 90 minutes and then go to another classroom for 90 minutes. And like many other students in alternative education, it was, when am I ever going to use this or need this? And despite the fact that we do try to encourage our students to learn a little bit of everything so that way they can determine what their interests are, Jake is the kind of kid who knew from the beginning, I learn better with my hands. I would rather learn a trade, learn a skill, go into the trades. And he will have his high school equivalency, which is excellent because his plan, he knows right now, does not require a 4-year university. However, it does require that he finish high school. Best choice for him was high school equivalency, and so far he's doing really, really well. So very happy to have him.
Awesome.
And then Taylor, extended learning opportunity. So she did one last year with Gina, our trainer. Hi, Gina. Thank you. And now she's doing another athletic training ELO with Gina. Go ahead, Taylor.
So last year I did my first athletic training ELO, and what I did was I basically, starting from about February to the end of the school year, I observed our athletic trainer. I went to a lot of sporting events. And on top of that, I learned basic things of what an athletic trainer does outside of being at the sports, like learning how to take inventory, the schooling it takes to be an athletic trainer, things like that. And then once I was done with that, I realized there were some things that I didn't learn that I wanted to keep learning. So I went back to Ms. Foley, and I'm now writing an athletic training 1 and 2 program development. And on top of that, I'm learning some of the things that I didn't get to. What I really liked about my ELO is that I could be hands-on. So I can't treat an athlete, but once we're in the office or something, I've asked some of my friends with their permission, I've learned how to do different tapings and things like that. And then when it comes to injuries, I've learned and seen basically everything from most basic thing to the most advanced thing. And every day, some of my teammates will be like, oh, can you help me wrap this Band-Aid or whatever. So it's there's some things that I can do that people are asking for help with.
Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Jack.
It's Jake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your current job, is it in the electrician?
No, not as of right now.
Would you like it to be? Secondly, good for you for joining a trade. You'll be making $200,000-300,000 a year once you become a full-time electrician, but you'll be very busy. So good for you. You guys were impressive. Thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you everyone so much for having us.
Shauna.
Okay, I have a comment for each of you. I'm wildly impressed that you can work all day and then come to school at night. Because I worked all day and I'm sitting in this meeting kind of losing my grip here. But I think it's really powerful to see kids, getting out there and working and doing a trade and making a difference in our community, and then also making a difference for yourself at night and putting yourself first as well. So I'm really impressed. I'm interested to know if you're going into athletic training when you get out of high school, because I'm a therapist, Gina, right? So that's really cool. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. Taylor?
Yeah, so my plan right now is I'm committed to play field hockey, and I'm going to go into my plan is to apply into the 3 and 2 athletic training program. So I should be done in 5 years with my master's.
Awesome. And Peyton, you are so unique. You're doing so much in such a short amount of time and have this really unique and individualized schedule where you're doing some classes during the day and some at night. That's a lot to keep track of. It's a lot of moving parts. And I'm just really proud of you. I don't know you at all, but I'm really proud to know that that's an opportunity that you can have here. And you look so confident, and it seems like it's really working out for you. I say that because I saw you shaking your leg, but as you're sitting here, you're not doing that anymore. So I'm really impressed with being able to keep all of that together and all those moving parts and be successful. So I would love for you to come back to us when you finish.
Well, thankfully, not only Miss Foley, but my counselors, my assistant principal, I have a great support system around me. Even I came in this year and I was like, hey, can I move this and this around? And they're like, yeah, go right ahead. So thankfully I have that.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, awesome.
No
Bree?
tears, Miss Foley.
Sorry, I'm
About to
just,
reach out and hold her hand.
Yeah, Bree?
I was just wondering for Ms. Foley, would it be possible, like, can the evening division take ELO?
yes. Yes, so actually, last year we had a student who worked full-time in an HVAC capacity. He went into evening division so he worked full-time and then he still was classes to get his diploma, and then I was able to turn his HVAC work into an ELO for which he could get credit because he did additional projects outside of what he got paid to do. And he was able to apply the two parts into that. So he would come in, like, work all day, come do a class, one class a night, and then after that, he and I would have our reflection meetings and we would talk about his extended learning opportunity aspect of his job. So it's definitely possible.
Just real fast, thank you for coming here. And extended learning opportunities, it sounds like it should be extra learning opportunities because each of you is carrying an extra load and putting in more time than the average student who's taking the traditional course. So in some ways, I hope you walk out, I hope you walk around every day with a little bit of extra pride, knowing that you're not taking the path most commonly traveled. You've kind of created your own in very unique ways. Most people do not have the moral fortitude to do that, and you are. So congrats to you, and that's the framework for our future success. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you guys. All right, up next, give them just a minute to get ready, but we have the substitute custodian and administrative assistant / secretarial pay. Fran, good, how are you doing? Long time no see.
It's public speaking, please. Spending a lot of time with that school board.
I know.
It's all good.
All right, my dear, what do you have for us?
So I think back in 2023, we had increased the pay rates for our teacher para substitutes as well as our school nurse. And so now I'm here to kind of talk to you a little bit about our substitute custodians and our administrative assistants. So right now, we do not have any substitute custodians. We are not able to hire any because of the rate of pay. I think right now they make $17 an hour. And keep in mind, we're right next to Massachusetts. So you've got payroll, and then they obviously pay a lot more than us. So we were fully staffed up until recently. We just since lost a person between vacation, sick time, so forth. There's always a need for substitute custodians. When I talked to our facility supervisor, at a minimum, we could use substitute custodians twice a week. That doesn't even include like PAC events and other things. What I'm recommending is that we try to tie the new custodian agreement, which is in effect this year, step 1, for the sub-custodian pay. It just helps keep up with inflation that way. I'm not coming back to you every couple of years asking for more money, hopefully, and hopefully be able to hire some people. Because what happens is, yes, we can offer overtime, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of our employees don't want to work overtime. And then, we can, so what happens is if that doesn't happen, then wherever the shortage is on the shift, they're just not able to get everything done. They're just going to get done whatever they can get done, trash, floors, bathrooms, whatever, to get the work done. But it's not going to be like being fully staffed. So that's one of the recommendations. The second recommendation is the administrative assistant position. So last year, we had one school had an administrative assistant to the principal out for almost a full school year. And at that point, we have about 3 administrative assistants. We actually added 3 this year from previous administrative assistants we had that retired this year. So we actually have 6. This is the first year that I've been here that we've actually had more than 2 or 3, to be honest with you. And so what happens is that they all work first shift. So it's not like we can pull somebody from guidance and come cover the front desk. It's just because they have their own responsibilities to do. At the middle school and the high school, we have eliminated 2 secretarial positions. Both was covering the front desk in those schools. So if you think about it, you've got calls coming in, you have parents coming in, you've got students coming in late, you've got visitors. It can be very, very busy. Plus, a lot of times they track the attendance on the students as well. So now we have 1 person covering the front desk for the high school and 1 for the middle school. And again, we can try to pull from other secretaries, but again, they have their own work to do. So when they're out, it would be helpful. Granted, they're not going to know exactly what to do all the time, but at least even if they could just answer the phones, direct people to the right place, it would be really helpful to have some people in those positions. So $15 an hour. We were talking the other day at one of the negotiations where people at Papagenos were making $17, Cumberland was paying $22 an hour. And I know these are not student-facing positions. I realize that, but they are still important to keeping the schools run smoothly. And we are looking for certain skill sets with both positions, right? So what I'd like to recommend is to pay these administrative assistant substitutes the lowest position on the secretarial skill should be an S1 at the step 1 level. Now, we don't have that finalized yet. We're still negotiating with TAM, so I don't have an actual amount. I can tell you right now that I believe that an S1 step 1 is like $19.65 an hour, which again might seem kind of high, but again, there are no benefits for this position at all. And either we're going to be not providing services to people in the schools, or if we're out for a long period of time, we wanted to hire somebody from a temp agency, it's going to be a lot more money than $19.65. And honestly, they don't know how schools run, so it's really difficult to even hire somebody from a temp agency if you wanted to do that. So that's what I'm asking for.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions yet? Marianne, did you? I'm gonna let Marianne, Bree, and then Jack.
So this recommendation, these new hourly rates would go into effect next year.
Next year, we put through the budgeting process.
Through the budget process.
Right.
First. Okay. And by tying to the agreements, that would move up if the 3-year contract
Right.
has increases.
It wouldn't go up each
This would go
step.
up
It would
as
just
well.
it would stay at the step 1 level, but I'd say the step 1 level goes up 50 cents from one step to the next. It would go up to 50 cents. Right. I just thought there was an easier way to do it, honestly. And like I said, left me having to come back and keeping up with inflation. I don't know. I've been here 3.5 years, and these rates are the same. In 3.5 years, we have not increased these rates. So, and a lot has changed in 3.5 years.
Bree?
Can you remind me what the substitute teacher pay rate is?
Yeah, they make, if you're a certified teacher, it's $135. If you're a non-certified teacher and or para, it's $115 a day. So these would be more. These would be more than that at this point, but I'm probably going to be back to see you guys next year to talk about increasing those rates, because I think we're going to need to increase those rates next year through the budgeting process.
Jack, and then Dawn.
So when you talk about someone covering the front desk,
Mhm.
I don't even know if this is possible, but if a student is old enough to answer a phone, or could we possibly reach out? Like, I always thought during the summertime we could hire students to cut grass and do,
We do.
and I know we do
actually
that.
Right.
But when you
Aren't they in class?
don't they have class, like, could you schedule it so for this period that person handles it? I don't know.
I guess I'm not an educator. I probably wouldn't be the person to respond to that.
Not wanna be
Okay, I'm just trying to think outside the box. If you just need someone to sit there and answer a phone, and maybe it's a good practical experience. Now, how many custodians are we missing right now?
Only missing one in a
Only
part-time, one in a part-time position, yes.
And is that for the first shift or the evening shift? Or-
It was the second shift that the position's open for the full-time one, and the part-time one, I don't actually know off the top of my head.
Would we be breaching anything if we hired a service until we eventually hired somebody?
We would have an issue with the union on that.
Would we? Okay, that's okay.
Dawn?
Yeah, relative to the front desk position, and did you say that they're doing the work that two people together did, one person doing their work, are they getting an enhanced paycheck as a result of it? How do we do that and not have a problem with that?
They're doing it. They may be pulling from some other areas to provide administrative support. Like if you think about we have Viv, at the front desk at the high school. She's doing it. She might be getting help from one of the ladies, like whether it's Carolyn or maybe Patty covering for Grace and so forth. But yeah, that's what she's doing. We had one, if you remember, we had Desiree that did, I think she did a lot of the attendance, and I think or vice versa. So it was pretty busy. So somehow they're doing it, but
I'm sure John can tell you it's pretty busy.
It's a busy spot.
okay, John, yes,
Crazy spot.
like to speak to this?
I'm just worried
back there.
worried about losing good people because we put too much on them and don't reward them for it.
I understand.
Okay, so
I'm just reflecting on the fact that if you go into the high school, kids are signing in, kids are signing out based on juniors and seniors having the opportunity to be on and off campus. If you go there and sit in the front office waiting for your kid's IEP meeting, you could sit there for 5 minutes and see 30 or 40 people at a time. And also they're keeping our buildings safe. So I would prefer somebody that has a little bit of training and a substitute model being in that role and having a little bit of awareness of that piece, because I consider that front desk person as a gatekeeper. So I think it's worth increasing the hourly rate for the substitute for the roles, and including the custodians too. There's big buildings, there's lots of kids. I think we all know kids have germs. So we need to have, them available to do the best that they can in our buildings to keep our kids safe in terms of health as well. So I'm in favor of this.
you wanna make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the proposed substitute pay rates for substitute custodian to $20 an hour and substitute administrative assistant to $19.67 an hour.
Is that better, or do you just want us to put the
Right,
to the
it's
second
gonna
one?
be attached, it's gonna be the new TAM one.
Make a motion to approve increasing the substitute rate of pay for substitute custodians and administrative assistants as outlined in the executive summary on October 2nd, 2025.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Seconded by Jack. Any other discussion, any
Yeah, I
other
have just a
questions?
quick question. So we know things are tight this year. Do we have, in a perfect world, do we have an approximate amount, how much that's going to be? Is that a fair question?
What is going to be?
The increase?
Well, it's gonna go
to
to
the next
Oh,
budget
won't
year.
be until next year?
Yeah,
Correct.
I have to do this right now in order to get into the operating budget.
Apologize.
No, that's okay, it's fine.
This is
Marianne,
step one.
go ahead.
This is possibly a crazy idea, but synthesizing what Jack said and what we heard about ELO, and what Don said about the workload, could there be a way for students to help offset the additional work through an ELO program or something like that on the administrative assistant side or even on the custodian side? If we have kids interested in doing
That kind of work. We have run into issues in the past with TAM regarding using students as custodians during the school year. Last year, we were negotiating a contract, and I think that might have been the issue because, they get paid less, right? And so I did get some severe pushback on that. Even this summer, we hired them over the summer, they aren't overly thrilled about it, although they do a lot of the heavy lifting and clean up the offices, so it's not like our custodians that are doing it. These are, younger men that physically could probably do that job a little bit easier. I don't know, I might get the same issue with TAM, honestly, for the simple reason that they're the same union, and I might get some pushback from them. I think it's a great idea, and I can talk to Danielle and see if anybody's interested in it. We can certainly talk about it, and then I could talk to the TAM, union rep about it. But we do get some pushback.
well, it's just because the substitute positions aren't within the union.
No, they're not. No, but we do have substitutes in other areas, so they may be more willing to do that. And you know what I mean? It's hard to predict. But I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to doing it. I can certainly talk to Danielle and see if anybody's interested. We would love to have them. I think it's a great opportunity. So I'm fine with that. The only other thing I would worry about, and I don't necessarily know this, is what happens as far as at the front desk, is there any confidentiality issues?
Yeah,
That was my huge concern.
Well, and quite frankly, it's not our students' responsibility to answer our phones. That's the adults, and that's what this is aiming to fix anyways. So, all right, any other discussion on this? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. One abstention, 7-0-1. All right, thank you. Thank you, Fran.
Fran, thanks so much.
All right, we got some requests for proposals. First one is our athletic turf services.
Athletic Turf Services, I'm happy to present both of these on behalf of Dr. Martin. Athletic Turf Services, I believe is on page 12 of your packet.
Yep.
An RFP went out for turf services to vendors on the 4th, due on the 24th. We had one vendor replied. The scope of work is over for 3 years. To inform the board, this is work we've done in the district before, generally a cost of around $20,000. This is for a 3-year program, and it is using a kind of a 2x2 machine. We have a 6x6 machine. It's able to get deeper into the ground, and it's explained to me as like giving the field steroids, so that we can then use our groomer over the course of the year to maintain the trouble spots and to do the seed planting there. So this is also some top dressing that would be done in the fields at the end of it. But again, it's getting our field shaped so we can maintain it with our own crew and our own devices here in the building.
Jack.
So, just starting, and this isn't gonna turn into last week, I promise you, but as I noticed, I read the proposal that the vendor gets paid within 30 days, and that's probably consistent with how we do all our RFPs. I think a standard thing, and I'm just gonna bring this up, is usually most contracts have a retainer on them, like 5% or 10%. And then, after we know the work is satisfactory, after it's had time to bear fruit, usually the contractor gets that retainer within a reasonable amount of time. So that's just something to consider. Another thing that I saw, and I did some research on, we're planting the grass in November. There's a whole bunch of reasons why we shouldn't be doing that. I concur with the July timeframe, up to late June timeframe, but right now the seed should be going down, and a number of things could go wrong. Like if you have an Indian summer in December, the grass germinates, starts to grow, then it snows out, and you lose everything you just put down. And I wish there was someone here, because there are different types of seed that potentially would do better, and that would help me with my decision a little bit more. When we talk about the top dressing, what I noticed, it's one spec for the entire 18 acres. And if anyone that's been out there knows, up by the JV baseball field, it's basically Salisbury Beach on steroids. It's all sand, whereas down, I believe, around the field hockey and the varsity baseball field, it's got more clay and more silt in it. So really what determines how much top dressing you put down is the ratio of sand to clay to silt. And it seems like we have just one spec for that. It seems like there should be different specs for different areas. And these are, I don't expect anyone to be able to answer these questions tonight, but the one that really caught my eye was putting down grass in November. And I know it's because that's when the sports get done, is my guess, right? But it's mid-November, and anything you go online and look at says you shouldn't really be doing that. The other thing that I found pleasing but unusual, and it was unsolicited by me, so I've been approached by like 50 people in the last 2 weeks to start pursuing a turf. That's people are coming and saying, we want to do it, we want a warrant, we want the school to start on that. And I think some other people in this room may be all on board with that. I won't speak for anybody else. But if we do a 3-year contract, I think we should do a 1-year contract, not understanding where we may be 2 years from now. But that's just things we should think about when we're doing that. Mark's
So-
discussed it with me and leaving the room.
No, but pause. This was, just so my understanding, this was in our board packet that was sent out on Monday, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you see this? Because you've had since Monday to have this where you could have asked all these questions, so you could have taken action tonight.
I was away for 2 days, and I typically, I really thought people would be here that I could answer the question. That this isn't on me, that this is a legitimate question. We're being asked to do this. Our job is oversight. And
That's why you get the packets early. So if you see them.
if I had gotten that a week ago, I would have probably asked those questions. But I got them on Monday. What time do we get them on Monday? I don't even know.
It's a very short agenda.
But look, what do you want me to do?
Want
You
you
want
to
me
be
not to
prepared.
ask the questions?
No, I want you to be prepared when you come to board meetings to take action. That's what I want. Bree.
This isn't on.
Are you good?
Huh?
Are you done?
Yeah,
Well,
go
hang
ahead,
on
Bree.
a second. Let me just make sure I'm done. So I guess a question that could be asked is, have we tested the content of the soil? That's it.
Okay, Bree.
And the other thing, I'm sorry, one last thing. Maybe what we should do in a way to appease this is to get a square foot or square yard price as opposed to the entire 18 acres in case 2 years from now, the dynamics of those fields have changed. These are just points.
Thank you, Bree.
I thought we already had a contract with someone for grass and seeding and supplies, and so I just wanna know how this is different.
This is different is that we were getting quotes for the work. We would do it at one time in the fall and later in the spring. And in the spirit of where we have tried to move as a district is being transparent. If we're getting the work done over the course of the year, it should be one sum and not two, which is why we went out to RFP in the first place.
Any other questions about this? Mary Ann, go ahead.
This is specifically for the athletic fields. I think the other thing we saw in landscaping was for grounds that aren't athletic fields. Is that correct? The softscape?
I think that was a different thing than I'm thinking of.
That's not what you're thinking.
That's okay. Yes, I do know that one also.
Was that the beautification of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
which we're all talking about the same thing.
It's all new to me, so.
An offshoot of what he said about turf fields, I also had people approach me in the last 2 weeks regarding trying to put together a group to come in and speak to us about what's possible, what type of, things that they could do as a community group, to move in that direction, because they see it as enhancement of what we have and perhaps a safety thing.
And I hope when we have members of the public who are coming to board members who are wanting to speak about something like that, that we are highly encouraging them to come to delegates and individuals so that we can all hear, and even the people out in TV land. That way it's not just.
That was my response.
Yep. Okay. Yep, Jack.
I just think folks are trying to get their ducks in a row and they said, Jack, we understand you're the guy. And I said, no, the board, and I do, and I tell people, it's better to hear from groups of people and the public during the meeting than, kicking it around for 3 months, because that's just a waste of everybody's time. So, but not to say that, I was actually quite surprised that anybody was thinking along those lines at this point. And that was kind of a new revelation over the last week or so. And as far as what you said, Katie, typically this is where we come and have these discussions as a rule when RFPs get brought up and there are questions. And quite frankly, I sat down yesterday and read went in, you have to go into the website, pull out the RFP, print it up or read it. And then, when you have questions, then you go do your research and say, planting grass in November doesn't quite, because who knows if it's legitimate or not. And very well it could be. And then all of a sudden you see all this information that kind of flies in the face of what we're being asked to do. I was kind of hoping somebody would be here. And I don't expect anyone in this room to be able to answer that question. But I think it's very legitimate.
Or you fire off an email to Justin and say, hey, I've got questions. Could you maybe have these ready from the board meeting?
For me.
All right, cool. All right, but we do have an action item. Oh, wait, Marianne, go ahead. Sorry, honey. Yeah, no, go ahead.
This RFP was specifically for a 3-year contract, right? So it's not like the one we did before where they had
Yeah,
options.
this is
We
all or
can't do
nothing.
that. This is all or nothing.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks. All right, so we do have an action item. Someone want to make a motion for this?
Make a motion to approve and to entering into a 3-year contract with Specialized Turf Surfaces to provide core aeration, seeding, and top dressing services to the main campus athletic fields in the total amount of $70,040.
Thank you. Shauna has a motion. Do I have a second? If there's no second, this motion fails and this action item fails.
Can I make a suggestion? A point of order?
Go ahead.
If someone can come back and answer those questions, I would be very amiable to, at the next meeting, which I think still gives the contractor enough time to do it, I'd be amiable to do a 1-year contract until we get our arms around what that whole turf thing is about. And I can't tell you, because I honestly don't know, but I think it would be prudent for us to answer
So
those few questions.
we can't operate on what ifs. Honestly, until we have full day kindergarten that's paid, I honestly don't think this district has any means of dabbling in turf field whatsoever.
I'm not-
That's a want, not a need.
I'm not
Hold up,
to see
hold
if
up.
it would fail, you know what I mean?
But also too, I get at coming here and asking questions, you all are supposed to, but you've had these in your packets since Monday. You all know that you can ask questions.
Could I also share that the RFP was posted on September 4th? So the language of what we were going out there to look for was all in writing and available to everybody at this table to look at. If there's feedback that folks have on the RFPs that we're submitting, just like there would be feedback on the math instruction that we're running or the football team we're gonna be running, please give me that feedback in advance so I can better prepare my team for these evenings. Right now, we've got before us work that needs to be done to our fields. It's timely. If there are specific questions, Jack, that you can send me via email, I'd be happy to get those answers and bring it back to the next board meeting.
Point of order.
Yep.
So just Justin, to address that, to be fair, when it came to the baseball fields, I only found out at the facilities meeting that the field had even gone out to bid. I don't think typically board members go into the RFP request section of the website. And I don't think we're typically cognizant of that every single moving part on every single RFP. Now, if someone wants to send us a copy of those as a better way of communicating, I'm fine with that, and I'll sit down at the time and do that way ahead of time so that maybe some of those questions get answered. But I typically don't go into the RFPs per se. And on top of that, I just don't want, I'm very reluctant to spend money unless I know it is going to be well spent. I understand the work needs to be done, but again, the information that we get in the RFPs we get to be, that we have to deal with and have oversight over, need to be point on. If we have questions, I don't think we should move forward until those questions are answered.
I will confess, in looking at the RFP, I did not pick up when the seating would be done. You bringing it up caused me some concern. Since then, I've heard from a member of the public that does this professionally, and I actually just did a search. There are seeds that you do in New Hampshire. It's common to put mid to late November after the light frost, but before heavy frost, they remain dormant until there's so many degree days, and 2,000 degree days or what have you. So they will remain dormant. As such, if there was not a second, I will now second that motion.
All right, motion has been made by Shauna, seconded by Mark. And again, this is, I get, Jack, what you're saying about RFPs but this has been posted since September 4th. And this was in our board packet on Monday, that board members, you're supposed to look at your board packets. And if you have extremely specific questions, you need to ask those questions before hold up. You need to ask those questions before you come here so you can take action. Or if it's something that's not clarified, you can, because even the people that are in this room might not know that specific question, that answer to that question.
And so we're clear, I don't know of any board, and I've sat on 6 of them, I don't know of any board where board members rifle through the RFPs and reach out way ahead. I mean,
You don't have to rifle through an
wait a minute,
RFP,
and
like this.
wait, hang on. I'm not gonna get lectured on how to be a board member, okay? We all have lives, we all have jobs. I wasn't able to get into my package until yesterday. That doesn't fall on me that those questions about it being done in November isn't a real question of concern. To your point, Mark, I think I did acknowledge that there are different seeds. It would be nice to know what that seed is. The other thing is that if the ground is lower than 50 degrees, it shouldn't be a seed. So is someone gonna be, in the RFP, it should state, if the RFP is written correctly, it should be stated that if the ground is 50 degrees or above. Those are little details that save the district money. That's all I'm saying.
John, did you have something?
Just probably some of us here saw this, right? don't know to have some of these questions. Come here, you hear some questions that sound like legitimate concerns. And, that's where I'm at, like, I don't know what's the right thing to do here, it's because
No, 100%.
I don't wanna have fields that aren't ready, but I don't wanna waste money on
100%.
fields that aren't going to be ready now anyway. So if that's a real concern, if we can alleviate those concerns,
Oh, 100%.
I no problem with going forward.
Yep.
But I just feel a little bit responsible for holding back and hearing out everything, understanding it a little better. Sorry.
Nope. Shauna, Mark, and then Bree.
I hear what you guys are saying. I think I'm using my deductive reasoning skills here to assume that a company that we have asked to cost out the needs for our athletic fields and knowing that the time frame is November, that they have costed out the appropriate resources, seating, and materials that are necessary related to temperature, soil, all of those things. This is their area of expertise. So I would imagine, I'm using my deductive reasoning skills to believe that that was done here, which is why I make the motion.
Bree.
So if I am correct, our grounds crew is not running at full capacity, is that accurate? Do we have all positions filled
In our skilled maintenance team, yes.
grounds team?
In our grounds team, yes.
Don't we have one position open?
We have a custodian position.
Custodian.
So they don't do
outdoor
grounds.
He's talking about boots on the ground that are actually gonna do the work.
Got it. Okay.
All right, Mark, go ahead.
We did put this out, doing the brief research that I did, 50-degree days, it's actually backwards. We don't want to do it beforehand because then it could germinate. Once the ground is below 50, on average, it will not germinate until the next year. From my brief Google search, not using a cell phone, school property. Seeing as how the company's name is Athletic Turf Services, they do athletic fields, they get played on. I'm guessing they know to use the correct grass seed and put it in while it's still in a dormant state. I'm not certain we have time to wait. I with hesitation would be supportive of this.
Okay, Jack, last comment.
Yeah, okay, so one, we're providing the seed and the sand. They aren't. So my guess is we're buying it from the same vendor that we're probably buying the clay from, but I don't know that for sure. And the other thing is, I would make a motion to amend Shauna's motion to do 1 year. So in other words, instead of a 3-year contract, let's do 1 year. That will give them time to come in here, do what they're gonna do.
So you
and let the
can't.
chips.
The reason being is because this is for a 3-year contract. If it fails, then we would tell them to go back out to bid, and we would tell them then at what point it'd be a 1 year. But right now, the decision we have to make, we can't amend this. It has to be yes or no, and then if no, then it goes to them.
Okay, so then what I would say is I will be voting no on this because I want to mitigate if there is a downside or there is a mistake or we need to have further clarification, we can do that. And I would be more than happy after those things are put together, going ahead and moving and voting in the affirmative for a 1-year contract.
Don, did you have something?
Is it possible to table this to the next meeting and get some more information regarding the process, the quality of the seed, the types of things that they would do, and try to still meet these deadlines?
Would it affect work if it's tabled for one meeting?
I don't believe so.
Shouldn't. Judging by when they're going to be seeding it.
That's true.
Mid-November.
That's what I'm saying. We might have time.
I'd be happy with that.
I retract my second.
Okay. Shauna, do you retract your motion?
I'm looking something up. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'm looking at something up about the company. It has very good ratings, by the way.
I'm sure it does, but do we want to table this motion until next meeting so then we can make a final action so we can get all these questions answered?
In the spirit of kindness, sure.
All right, so this action item will be tabled until the next board meeting, the second meeting in October.
Could I ask the board what those specific questions are?
Yes, you can.
Have them now, or do you want to give them to me later?
I'll send you mine tomorrow morning.
Excellent. Will I be receiving any other questions from members except Jack?
Somebody else raised
I'll be
your hand,
editing
please.
Jack, so.
You'll
No,
be-
but is there any other member of this board that's gonna have questions to submit to Justin?
I have a question that might be,
Yeah, Marion, go ahead.
is it possible to not go through another RFP process and get a 1-year contract?
If I'm looking at the price point, which is over the $20,000 threshold
So it
where the
has to be
board has
through an
set for RFP, we would need to recycle.
Then I don't have any other questions.
So it'll just be,
All right, Jack, thank you. I'll look for those from you for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Second RFP is for the Timberlane Regional High School bathroom architectural services. That should be sitting on page 13 of your packet. Little history here. Everyone here knows that the bathroom renovations are beginning. They're in fiscal 27 CIP. We'll see that later in the meeting. At Facilities Committee, Jack and Mark were asking us to go out and look at architectural services to help us get to the RFP point for that bathroom project. So we've got some professionals helping guide the work. So we wrote that RFP for architectural services for the bathrooms. It was submitted out on June 4th. We had 7 architects attend, mandatory walkthrough on the 24th over the summertime. And of those 7, we had 2 firms commit submitted proposals. After they submitted those proposals, the Facilities Committee asked both Dr. Martin and I to set up interviews with both of these firms. We invited both firms to a Facilities Committee. I think they each maybe had 15 minutes of presentation and maybe 15 minutes of questions after that. And at the end of that discussion, it was the unanimous vote of the Facilities Committee to recommend Warren Street Architects for board approval. That's what you have in front of you tonight. The first graph here is really the Warren Street for services in the first column. Then there's some estimating in the second and the engineering on the third for a total of $49,250. That gets the district all the way to the point of RFPing for the bathroom. I did want to show you the other firm also included in their proposal. You'll see their fees at the bottom of the second table at $34.15, but it's not inclusive of the second and third columns for the additional work to get toward RFP. I will defer also to Jack and Mark if you guys wanted to add anything or speak to the recommendation from the Facilities Committee.
Both candidates that came in were outstanding. Very impressed. And it was a very difficult decision for me. But I feel very comfortable with this decision for a whole host of different reasons, which probably wouldn't be appropriate for this board meeting, but I am very confident that this is a good decision.
Mark.
Again, also sitting there, yeah, there would not have been a bad call regardless of which decision we made. I am comfortable with the depth of Warren Street, the way in which they presented it. I personally had a better grasp of the services that they were going to be able to offer us and the visualization that would allow us to make decisions in the future. Their attention to detail with wanting to make certain that however we design the bathrooms, that it would be pleasing and fit in with the rest of the school and the style of the rest of the school, so it wouldn't be, sticking out. And again, their breadth is rather large, from working in universities to state, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm very comfortable with going with Warren Street. Yes. When I can find it. I'd like to make a motion to approve entering into contract with the Warren Street for architectural services to renovate the high school bathroom in the total amount of $49,250.
I have a motion by Mark, do I have a second? Second by Dawn, any other discussion? Agree.
Is there a time frame of when that proposal will be presented? From the, was there a deadline in there? Cause the other one said, no, the other RFP said November. Is there a?
Yes, there is. Don't remember what it is offhand, but there absolutely is.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
What's the deadline?
When do they start? I was just wondering when we can
Start to
enjoy
see
these
stuff.
plans.
When do they start?
It's in my facilities packet. I don't have it on hand right
Next meeting.
Could you get it for next meeting?
now. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Send it to me in email form,
Yeah.
please.
Send your questions to Mark. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstaining. 0-0. Cool. All right. Next is the CIP committee FY27 project list.
Okay, so that's also in page 15 of your packets, and this is not new information. I think we previewed it for you last time, but looking for action tonight from the board. And again, how this works, this is coming from the CIP committee. These are the projects they've identified for fiscal 27. The estimated dollar values are there. And if the board approves this tonight, Dr. Martin and I will bring these projects and their estimated totals to the budget committee next Thursday.
We've got high school envelope for $500,000, high school bathroom for $500,000, Sound and North sprinklers, $650,000, and then the Pollard vanity / sinks for $100,000, which is a grand total of $1,750,000. Dawn,
I move that we move this forward, get it to the budget committee as soon as we can.
you wanna make a motion?
Just, yeah.
Second. All right, Dawn made the motion to approve the
Recommended capital improvement projects, including the high school envelope, high school bathrooms, Sandown North sprinklers, and Pollard school vanities and sinks. The total amount of $1,750,000. Well said, Mr. Woodruff.
Second. Dawn made the motion, Shauna seconded. Any other discussion on this? All right, all those in favor? Opposed and abstain. All right, cool. Administrator's report.
Awesome. So just a preview, if you guys recall, that Ginger Drexel's joining us as the Student Services Director on the first meetings of the month, and Dr. Martin is here at the second meetings of the month. Every time we will start with Ginger for a Student Services report. Hear a little bit from Sandy, I'm sure, and I'd be happy to close for the admin report tonight.
All right.
Thanks, Ginger.
All right, so I just have a few things that I wanted to share with the board tonight. One highlight and then 3 updates from the Student Services Department. So the first thing I'd like to highlight is September was Suicide Awareness Month. And there's always a lot of activities going on in terms of prevention throughout the district across the year. In the month of November, I will be bringing the suicide prevention plan to the board just to review for policy. But I did want to highlight that in the month of September, we had 20 high school students that were trained through NAMI New Hampshire's Connect Suicide Prevention Youth Leader Training Program. So it's a mouthful. It is a program that is through NAMI New Hampshire where students are certified to train both adults and peers in suicide prevention. So 20 students that took advantage of that opportunity, kids that are involved through Life of an Owl and other leadership groups throughout the high school. And so fortunately, these kids had this opportunity through a grant that was submitted through the Exeter Hospital to NAMI New Hampshire and incorporated all schools through Rockingham County. They knew that we had a lot of leadership programs already within the school, and so we were able to kind of jump into this early in the process and get these students trained. So we'll be looking to plan how we're going to utilize them as a resource throughout the district. So that information will be forthcoming, but really happy that that was an opportunity that we had to take advantage of in September. I also want to mention that September is really important in the district because it's a time when we apply for free and reduced lunch. We have a lot of wraparound that's happening and outreach to our families to continue to apply for free and reduced lunch through the month of September. Why that's so important is that anybody that qualified for free or reduced lunch last year has a rollover period through the end of September. This year, the rollover period will end October 11th, where families automatically will have free or reduced lunch through that first period of the school year. As of October 11th this year, that designation will go away unless families reapply. So we have resources within the school that are outreaching to families to make sure that they're continuing to apply for free and reduced lunch. Not only does it help our families continue to access resources within the school, free and reduced lunch applications also benefit the school district because it does generate Title I funds for us as well. So it's just an important initiative that we're putting a lot of energy to see how we can increase those applications. I also wanted to mention to the board that we have a Child Find event that's coming up in November. Flyers will be going out very shortly to a variety of community partners. We'll be sending them out to medical offices, different community locations so that we are getting the word out there as much as we possibly can. We are, as a district, really looking to increase our child find opportunities so that we are identifying kids who might have special education needs as early as possible. This event will be available to children 2.5 to 6 years old. The event will happen on November 17th at Sandown Central. Appointments are required. So if anybody, if you know folks, anybody that's sort of out there in the community that may be interested in accessing the event on this day, then reach out to Sandown Central to schedule that. Lastly, I wanted to share with the board that, as you probably know, every year we submit for special education aid for costs that are encumbered for special education across the year. The state establishes a threshold so that once we expend that limit for any particular student, we can submit for reimbursement. Very happy to announce that this year we were just notified that our reimbursement will be $200,000 above what it was last year.
Oh, good.
So we're very happy to have that information to present. We're looking forward to those additional resources.
Awesome. Thank you.
If I could, $200,000 more than last year, do you have a feeling, and if you don't have the numbers in the top of your head now, that's absolutely fine, what our expenditures were compared to that?
I can bring that information to you. I don't have that information off the top of my head.
You understand where I'm going with that question?
Yeah.
Okay, not a problem.
That number, just to remind the board, it's kind of calculated by a few different things. It's the number of kids, it's the cost per student, so the intensive needs that they have, but it's also the onus on us as a district to report accurately. So those three things together are most likely yielding an additional revenue.
Because you think our reporting has been tightened up, or our screening has become more effective and therefore? What's the root cause?
Identification.
Yes, identification.
So I guess what I was going to say about that, there are a lot of factors that go into our ability to get reimbursement for these expenses. And I think that there's been a lot of work that's been put into making sure that paperwork is completed appropriately, that we can submit appropriately. Linda Mahoney does a lot to track this information over the course of the year so that we are able to produce the documentation that we need for reimbursement. So all of those components, I think, have gone into kind of a increased result around getting more reimbursement than we have typically.
So the unglamorous work of shoving paperwork around to justify.
It's a lot of paperwork.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 3 primary things, actually 4, I take that back, that I wanted to update you all on. 2 of them are professional learning opportunities that we were able to engage some of our staff in due to grant funding through Title IIA funds. So last Friday, we brought a trainer in to work with staff across all of our elementary schools and the middle school as well to really look at how to access resources that are embedded in our iReady program, that are instructional resources to better align our math instruction with the data that we are seeing. And the staff who were involved in that are co-teaching teams. So in math, we have co-teaching groups across our elementary schools comprised of a regular classroom teacher paired with a special educator who is part of the whole class instruction during math, and they're working together to provide different levels of support to all students and some personalized learning as well. So that was a really great training. We were able to use some grant funds to bring that in. And then this past Monday, we sent 15 educators also across grades K-8 to the Granite State Summit 2.0, which had a literacy focus. So last Friday was math, this past Monday was focused on reading, but it's ongoing work that we've been engaging in through a variety of conferences, through work that we're bringing in, a variety of training that our coaches have engaged in, our administrators, that's really focused on new research connected to the science of reading and how students develop and acquire reading skills, including phonics, phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, and how that extends to vocabulary and comprehension skills as they go up in grade level. So again, that was a great opportunity that we had through grant funding. I wanted to acknowledge the work of Mr. Pedersen, Mark Pedersen, and other members of our safety team across our district and region. So our SRO helped to coordinate the series of trainings that have been happening around ALICE. So these have been going on and rotating through. You'll remember that you approved 4 additional early release days, 1 in each of our towns for our elementary schools to engage in this training. So we are near the completion of all of those trainings. The final training will happen on the October regularly scheduled early release day at the middle school. But as of today, we've completed all of the trainings at our elementary school, and the high school had their training last Wednesday. So those have been very successful, and we're grateful that you were able to work with us to adjust the schedule so we could provide that for our staff. And then the last thing that I wanted to just, I think I'm going to make this a regular feature of my updates, is just to acknowledge the work that we've been doing with our high school team to really dig into the new laws that were passed around state minimum requirements and credit requirements, new courses that will have to be developed. You will hear about this. You may hear about it in some of the committee updates this evening, but I just want to thank our high school team, has done a tremendous amount of work really digging into this, and we're moving forward with some updates that you'll be hearing about likely for the next several months. So that's all.
Thank you, Sandy.
I'll start with just a couple of future agenda items for the board. We had a delegate individual here this afternoon or this evening. I will have a full-time kindergarten proposal with cost estimates and some descriptions at the next board meeting. So we'll make that kind of proposal to give the board information, both about the current state of the program, what it would look like full-time, and all the costs kind of associated with that. So I'll work with Mark and Katie to get that on the next agenda. I'm also going to work with Mark and Katie down the road to get 2 other items on an agenda down the road, potentially in November. One is going to be about engaging the board in discussion about the fund balance retention and seeing if the board wants to put forward a warrant article at this year in March. And the second is, and I've given you this highlight before, our bus contract is up. We have 2 optional years. I think we should have a discussion here at a board level about what's the direction. Are we going to execute those options, or do we want to go out to bid again for bus transportation? So
To who? Sorry,
those discussions will be upcoming for you.
Sorry.
2 updates on the facilities front. One is around the envelope of the high school building. So that, as you know, is on the CIP list for fiscal 27. In facilities, we have identified 5 what are called envelope consultants. So these are people that would come in and work with us, kind of like the architectural services is doing with the bathrooms, to give us a really good idea of what we would actually need to get done. Of those 5 contacts, I'm impressed that 4 have called back.
Nice.
And they're going to want to be scheduling some walkthroughs of the space over there to get to the point where they can put some numbers together and materials for us. So I'm going to host those 4 folks, and then I'll report back out kind of where we stand. I'll extend invitations if there'll be some on-site visits for people that want to join us.
Can I just say thank you?
You're welcome. Second thing on facilities is an update for the facility director search.
Okay.
Last meeting, I let you know that I was in contact with 2 organizations, the New Hampshire School Boards Association and NESDEC, about helping us kind of go out for search. I'm here to report not great news tonight, but I want to report it out to you. Dealing with the New Hampshire School Boards Association, they are very concerned with their capacity to be able to lead a search of this nature. They have never searched for a facilities director. It's typically in the superintendent category. The cost to the district would be anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 to have an organized search for it through the New Hampshire School Boards Association. They're willing to do it. They're hesitant that the outcome may not be match kind of what we're needing.
Okay.
That said, I did get a lead from their attorney to the Department of Education and a gentleman named Tim Carney. Tim serves under the Bureau of Facilities and has a lot of networking capabilities through New Hampshire. So I've reached to Tim, and he has been a real good steward to some other districts with helping them with personnel in these areas. So maybe Tim is going to be able to support us and help us through these that way. NESDEC Also echoed what I heard from the New Hampshire School Boards Association, that they would have limited capabilities or capacity to do this. And they also, unlike superintendents, don't maintain a list of facility directors with qualifications. So they're willing to help us put the search out. So to do what we do, post the you know, those type of things, but they're not interested in spearheading that idea. And if they did, it'd be somewhere in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. I want to make sure I got all that stuff because that was. So more to come, I think, on those fronts. Okay. Board of Select meetings in the towns, kind of reaching out to the community. Mark joined me over at Sandown. I think I met with them last week. And I've got the next 3 kind of scheduled out. I'll be in Atkinson on October 20th at 6 p.m. I will be at Danville on October 6th at 7 p.m. And I'll be back in Plastow, sometime in November.
They meet on Mondays, so it's on a Monday in November.
It's on a Monday in November. I'll send you guys the route, but that's at 6 o'clock. And what we're doing there is I'm bringing the elementary principals of those towns. They're opening those meetings. They're giving highlights of the school and the opening of the school year. And then I'm really walking through 3 fiscal years. I'm giving them the fiscal 25 wrap. I'm giving some updates where we are currently in fiscal 26 and some seeds about where we're planning through the budget committee for fiscal 27. So that's kind of the agenda for those evenings. Very happy that they are hosting me again and they've able to establish those connections. Specific to the budget committee, we've got a meeting coming up next Thursday. We are going to be rolling through the high school budget, the middle school budget, the athletics budget, the music budget, and the CIP budget. Seems like a lot.
It's a lot.
It only still totals less than 5% of the overall school district budget. 2.3% of that is CIP alone. We're going to have those 5 presentations that evening. You're also getting those BudCom packets on Mondays. So if you wanted to keep up with the actual numbers, you can see them that way as well. And then we also held our first virtual tour last night. It was Marianne and I at Danville talking with each other for about an hour. I really enjoyed that conversation, Marianne. But we've got all those tours lined up with the exception of Atkinson. They're posted right on the home page of the website. There's a very cool icon there that you can go. And then there's a graph to kind of walk people through the virtual tours of the building. Our next one is scheduled for Sandown Central. I think Ms. Watkins will be there, and I think Ms. Costa from BudCom will be in attendance for that. Cash flow. Talked to the board about cash flow and having some concerns this year and setting up some work sessions to educate you on those concerns. I'm going to start those next week when we meet for the board meeting prep.
Okay.
I'm gonna give a crash course to the chair and vice chair, and then we'll be rolling out a calendar where we'll have some options for people to come in here and walk through the apportionment sheet with Maria and I and learn about how cash flows through the school district. So stay tuned for that.
Will you be opening that up to members of BudCom as well?
Yes, 100%. Yep. What I'd like to do initially as a vision is to have a couple members from each group through those work sessions. One reminder I want to give you, I think you got an email from the School Boards Association, but there is a Senate bill right now where there's a commission to study consolidating school districts across New Hampshire. They're very interested to hear from multi-town districts, of which we are. If you have any interest in participating in some of those study sessions, the next one is on October 6th. If you have interest, please let me know. I'll give you details about that. And lastly, let me close with something super important. In the springtime, I was super high on the Chicago Cubs and where they were. If you haven't noticed, I haven't said much. Second half of
drinking coffee tonight.
And this is also my first board meeting that I did not start with a coffee. So I didn't say much about the Cubs because the second half of the season was terrible for them. They squeaked into the playoffs, and I'm happy to report they just won their first wild card series since 2020 and are moving to the next round. I think the Red Sox play tonight.
They do.
Okay, so good luck to all of you. That's all I have for tonight.
All right, we have one personnel report, we have one resignation. Shauna.
Make a motion to accept the professional resignation of Jessica Healy, teacher at Atkinson Academy, and wish her the best.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Second by Dawn, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and abstain, 8-0-0, all right, and committee reports. I'll start with Mary Ann.
So let's see, first of all, October 25th, there's the New Hampshire School Board Association's delegates convention, which I will be attending since Dawn no longer able to attend, they switched the dates up. So you'll be seeing a survey with the different resolutions that are on the table for this year, so you can indicate your preferences. Let's see, TSSU negotiations are going along. We met again today. We meet before each board meeting, so it's fresh in my mind. And curriculum assessment was yesterday. Hear a lot this week. We heard a lot about curriculum changes due to changes updating standards from previous years. Some of them are similar standards, different wording or numbers, and other changes are more substantial. In particular, we'd be looking further into the high school graduation requirements, the credits. That's quite complex, and we talked very briefly about it so far. And the tax cap subcommittee is also on the agenda for October 16th for a report back from that group. So that's what I have.
Very well. Alyssa?
Nothing else on tax cap. We have a presentation coming at the next board meeting. Policy, we tried to delve into more of the new regulations that have been coming by for graduation requirements, high school credits, earning high school credits. We pushed through some of those, and some of those will be coming to you guys for us to review. Awesome. Brief. We voted on CIP tonight, so thank you. There's your summary. And then wellness will be meeting on November 19th at 4 p.m.
Very good. Shauna?
I have nothing, they covered it.
Nice. Mark?
I covered it.
I as well have been covered. Dawn?
There are two summaries of the two committees that I'm part of, which nice job, thank you. And what we were doing there is what we were doing in policy today. It's kind of in tandem with that, because there are going to be changes. You'll see it in the program of studies. You're going to see it in course offerings and in content of some courses. Our credit expectations are in excess of what the state is looking for coming down the road. So you're going to see why. It might not look like it when you first see what they're proposing and how we meet that requirement. But it's very fascinating and impressive, and I think we're going to be in good shape.
Very good. Jack?
Stinks being at this end of the table. Got the line, the end of the line.
Hey, I go back and forth every meeting.
I know.
You nothing?
No, committees, no.
Okay, all right.
Says that every time.
Because you're the one who talks the most, man. I gotta give other people a chance. All right, Jack, go.
I reached out to my chair and co-chair this week to invite someone in to talk to us, and I was told to bring it up at the school board meeting. So, I watched a survey this week, and I always hear about stuff like this, but this one here shook me up a little bit with everything going on around the country. And it's about the amount of screen time and gaming that our young men, not specifically, but in general, do. And what I heard was that they spend an average of 35 hours a week on their computers gaming, and 30 hours in high school. What this basically isolation is, they're trying to escape from reality. And what's been suggested is that, there needs to be a balance, that they need to get outside after school. They need to, we heard it today with the students, they're off their phones, now they're interacting with each other. And I always think that Tim Lena is a great resource. And what I would hope is that, I don't know if he's dealing with this, or piggybacked on a little bit what you were saying about suicide and mental illness, that I think our responsibility is an outreach to the parents once we find out a little bit more about this, or maybe do something where, it's about awareness. And I think it starts here, and it definitely must affect their learning during the day, because I can tell you that they'll stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in their bedrooms on their cell phones. So if we could have Tim come in to a meeting and maybe discuss what our options are, or maybe how to approach families relative to this, I think would be a time well spent. But I was asked to bring that before the board, and
Shauna. Point of clarification for our administration. I distinctly remember being a parent going to a opportunity that was provided to parents in the district of a woman that spoke to us last year on the PAC about very similar topics, about the dangers, some safety parameters that you can put around it. I believe she's like she's a police officer, law enforcement. She was a fantastic speaker, and I'm pretty sure it was organized by Maura Mayer and potentially the middle school
organizer
administration, and she was absolutely fantastic and phenomenal. And I will say that there was parents and kids there as a community opportunity. I would love to see something like that happen. Again, if it's not already in the works or on the radar, but that was really effective and really helpful, I think, for me as a parent to hear some statistics and to also know some steps that I could take as a parent.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's planned.
It is not currently planned, and full disclosure that we were able to bring that in due to grant funding that we no longer have access to. So we can certainly explore something like that. We've done opportunities of that same nature with other presenters in the past. That individual speaker was brought in specifically to work with students during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were able to coordinate an evening session, which I'm really happy to hear that you attended and found it to be valuable. We've also in the past provided options for screening of different films that speak to some of these. There's Screenagers is one that
I saw that too.
So
At another event.
we've done some of those things almost annually or every other year. We can certainly work together to put something else together. So regardless of grant funding, I'm confident we can put something together for
There's
parents.
also trainings that CLM is willing to come and provide, or really around some of the same topics and the impact that screen time has on students. So there are certainly resources that we can tap into.
I think this is great. The only reason I brought up Tim is because when we did the opioid drug, he was very good, and that's the only resource that I really went to. But it sounds like what you did was, or what you experienced was positive, and
Yeah, it was great.
I'm not.
I went to that, and speaking of Screenagers was a high school event for my older kiddo. So when I did that event, I stayed for that piece of it too. It was really helpful and really good, and I'd love to see those opportunities as part of our community outreach. I think it would be good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Don, go ahead.
Last week we had a guy named Chris Tarth who's been in to speak to us about people in meeting and discussing, ways to make the school district better, to try to improve everything from facilities to programs, anything at all, just in the best interest of kids. They had an event that was attended by 4 of us. Marianne was there, Jack was there, I was there, and Bree was there. And Bree was there with the whole family. But we had about 100-something people there, getting a tour of the facility, seeing things that have been worked on, seeing students presenting, helping young kids with soccer skills and basketball and whatever they were into. So we walked basically as a group through the entire middle school and high school campus, and got a good feeling that people are really invested in the future of the district and how they can become a part of this. So, just want to thank that group and everybody.
And thank Cam for the awesome performance.
Yes, the Timberlane Fiddlers were so happy to have everybody come and watch us. It was great.
Question for you, will you be at Sandowns Oktoberfest?
Yes.
Awesome, looking forward to seeing you.
Jack.
I think it's important too on that event to recognize the staff. I know Mitch was instrumental in some of that, and I did see a lot of teachers there, and for them to give up a Sunday after grading papers all night, 5 nights a week and all that, so yeah, they stepped up in a big way as well, so thank you.
Any other business at this time? Do we have any other delegates or individuals? Okay. We will go into a non-public real quick. We will not be back, other than to seal the minutes. Shauna, would you do the honors?
Make a motion to go into non-public under 91-A:3 subparagraph C.
Motion by Shauna, do I have a second? Seconded by Mark. Could I please get a roll when you are caught up with your writing?
Roll call vote.
Roll call.
Yes.
John Woodward, Katie Newton,
Yes.
Mark Sherwood,
Yes.
Shawna Manton,
Yes.
Melissa Carlson, and Joanne Springer.
Yes.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Great.
Oh, gosh.